We alive.
Hello.
Anna, it's been such a long time.
It's been a minute, right?
It's been a minute, a whole summer.
Yeah, right. That's been a whole summer. We took summer off, and now we're back. We're back. Well, actually, it's still summer in the United States, right? Because summer ends, I think, September 22 or
Yes,
23.
yes,
That's
yes.
when
That
fall
was a
starts.
big discovery for me too. How,
Really? When did you
yeah.
discover that?
Oh gosh, and a pretty grown up age, I would say.
Okay. I mean, like technically, this is our final stream of the summer, so we're
Right,
good. We did some summer streaming, so
right.
we can say like we did some
Yeah,
summer.
we did from New York and maybe Martha's Vineyard. And then we took a break as I was traveling and you were traveling. And then now we're back in Miami. And it's exciting to bring back Chew on this. And the fun fact is, I think the summer has been so incredible and productive that perhaps we came back as different selves. And so
Yeah,
that's part of what we're going to talk about today.
yeah, very deep conversations, Vlada. You promised me the deepest conversation ever. With an intriguing topic that actually shout out to Vlada for coming up with this topic. And yeah, let's see what changed this summer, and just generally, yeah, let's talk about how to be your best self. I think now is the time when people kind of like getting back on track with their task, with their work, and yeah, it's like after the summer is over, you feel like the new chapter of your life is about to unfold. I think it's like for everyone, regardless whether you go back to school or it for work the same. Work usually goes kind of slow, right? In the summer, so that's why people
Unless
when
you are in K-12 at tech, yeah.
yeah, yeah, not only in K-12. I mean, I'm not in K-12, but it's still like a little bit slowly for
No,
us,
no,
even
in the
though
summer it's very, on the contrary, it's the most busy time if you're working
you're
in
building, if you're building.
your building. Yeah. But I completely agree with you. And there are kind of two times in a year that we get this sort of new resolutions moment, right? Ideally, we do that more frequently, but that just sort of the nature and the whole context helps us reflect and plan. Right. Obviously, new year time frame and the kind of back to school, back, after the
Yeah.
summertime. So
Well,
now,
then it's like probably three times of the year. Also,
oh,
it's your
yeah.
birthday, right?
Oh, your birthday. That's right.
I mean, for most
Yeah.
people, that's what it is. But yeah, you're right. Definitely. I think there are some planners that are also the planners. The books, the
Yeah.
notebooks that are like start on January 1st, and then like some like go for like 18 months or like something like that, or more that
Interesting.
like end. I think end in August or something like this. That's if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
anyways,
Yeah. So this summer, the reason I brought up this topic, Anna, not because I just like to get deep in your head
oh, you
and
do, you
and
do.
challenge you on how you think, uh, but I also over the summer read this quote that really struck me, and the quote goes that the most essential journey that we all take is the journey of self-discovery, a journey of really learning about ourselves, because no matter how much we travel in the summer, the answers are not outside, they're inside, right?
Yeah.
It's ironic how
You don't even have to travel. You don't
you
even have to
don't even
travel.
have to travel, you can sit at home and find all the answers.
You can still find the answers without traveling. It just happened so that this summer turned out to be like super busy for us.
Right,
Yeah, we're kind of like aligned on that.
right.
Um,
So can I jump in with the first question
sure.
for you, and it's really deep, so get ready, Anna.
Oh my God, you're giving me anxiety right now, girl.
Okay. All right. So what I would like to ask you is, what does it mean to you to be your best self?
Wow. Okay. So that's you're right. This is very deep, but also like I can talk for hours about this.
Sure.
You don't wanna have a coaching session right now, do you? But let me answer this question by saying that I think that the word best in the question, and like just generally the word best, is a very tricky word when we think about ourselves and like building ourselves, building the better copy of ourselves. Because best associates with perfect, and we know that perfection is not the way you should be driven by, when you're talking about building yourself or building your company or building anything or like recreating anything, right? So I would say that you want to be a better self, right? You want to be a better self because what's the best, right? Like compared to what? And for me, being a better self is always being better than I was before. It's also very dangerous when we use these, again, I'm a grammar teacher, comparative adjectives, right? Better, the best, because these adjectives, these comparative adjectives, they basically tell us to compare ourselves to someone or something. But the best, well, I mean, who we should compare ourselves to is ourselves,
Myself.
right? Because then you're only going to get better, and you're not going to have this anxiety, jealousy, whatever are the feelings. So I tend to look at myself back in the day and now and see what has changed, what hasn't changed, what could have changed but didn't, and things like that. So definitely that's what it means to be a better self or the best self, like you said. This is constant growth, comparing yourself to your past self, right? Planning out what you want to be like in the future. This year, I read this amazing book that is called Be Your Future Self. And I really, really love the concept. This was one of the top books for me this year. I really love the concept of, creating your future self in the present moment, when you technically, not just like dreaming, but you're visualizing and you're dreaming and you're writing out like what you want your future self to be like, to live, how you want the future self to live, where you want to live, what you want to know, and things like this, like all these details. And this really, like, helps you build yourself out. And of course, it's not going to happen. It's not there's no magic pill, right? There is no magic wand or anything. You have to work for it. But yeah, that's what it is for me. What do you think, Vlada? What's being best self for you?
Well, thank you for returning the favor. It was a fantastic answer, Anna, and thank you for sharing the book. I think if you have a second to link it up, if folks
I
want.
will, yeah. Actually, just one more thing about the book, since you highlighted it. The author has a newsletter where every Friday he sends out those like 2 or 3 coaching questions for you to wrap up your week or to wrap up your month, depending on the
Great.
date. So it's like a free coaching, like 15-minute coaching session in your email inbox. So highly recommend to read the book, and then you can subscribe to his mailing list. And yeah, I'll drop it in the comments.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I read another book that influenced my answer.
Why I'm not surprised.
Right. And the book is, I think, quite transformative, like all the work by Robert Greene. And this book that I stumbled on this summer is called Mastery, and it's all about really discovering your passion, something back in the day as a child you really, really loved doing, right? And throughout the book, there are a lot of exercises and a lot of examples of how some folks that really, had certain hobbies or were so deep into some sort of craft as a kid, that turned out to be their zone of genius when later on, right? And some other folks by traditional standard who were maybe better students or more talented by the way that, let's say, as an artist, right? The example is back from sort of Renaissance days and etc. There are many examples like this. So highly recommended as a way to really reflect on and try to relieve some of those things. And I think it goes back to this ikigai idea. I don't know how to pronounce it
Thank
correctly,
you, guys.
but
Thank you.
ikigai,
Mhm.
uh, which anyway resonates. But my answer to that question, Anna, the short answer is I think it's about acceptance and patience. And acceptance because no one is perfect, right? And no conditions are perfect, but you need to be at peace inside with whatever is happening, because that's how you show up, as not anxious, not annoyed, right? Just a calm self that is collected to live through whatever experience that's in front of you, right? And that experience is good or bad or maybe neutral, right? Because I believe, like you, in constant development. It does mean that you fail often, right? If you're constantly trying something new, you fail, right? And if you think that being best self has to be associated with being a happy person, then you have to find that contentment or peace inside with just not succeeding at some things in life. And it's just very counter to our human nature, because we all want to win all the time. And it's just not how I think life is, as far as I've been introduced to it so far. And the second one is patience. And I think the patience part is, gosh, I think increasingly it's challenging already for us. I think it's more challenging for Gen Z and folks thereafter, right? Just because of how the world moves, right? We all want things to show up constantly, instantly, right? And I think that that patience for the right things to come is really part of being your best self, because you don't want to make the wrong moves or do the wrong things if you know in your gut that that's not yours. And waiting for the right things to come is also part of being your best self.
I think we kind of moved to talking about what helps you be your better self, right? Your future, or not so
Hmm.
future self, your best self. So patience, definitely. How do you learn patience?
No, I haven't.
How does one learn patience? Any tips?
On
Any?
patience, I think again, another quote, right, from a
Look at
man.
you, girl, full of quotes today.
Yeah. Men search for meaning, right? And, I'll not do it justice to the quote, but the short of it is, we don't control the circumstances, but we only can control our reaction to them, right? And I think
Yeah.
uh,
Easier said than done. I'm just
easier said than done, but I think that's where the patience comes in, right? When you notice that you're not being patient, just having that little bird in your head saying, okay, is it the case where I need to apply more patience? Just
yeah.
stepping back. It's easier said than done, but I think that really ability to have self-control, right?
That's, yeah, self-awareness too, self-control and self-awareness. And this is a perfect, thank you very much for this lead in. This is a perfect time for me to jump in with my power skills theme, right? The topic around power skills, what are power skills? These are soft skills. These are the skills that we are actually talking about right now. And what you Vlada mentioned, being patient and being self-aware, noticing things, and like being proactive instead of reactive and things like that. Those are power skills that everyone has to develop, to be honest. When I started my journey, developing my power skills, especially emotional intelligence, I realized that the world works in a different way, and people around me, things around me, I saw them differently because I didn't see them. I think, like, people who don't focus on building and developing their emotional intelligence, empathy, and other power skills like self-awareness, we don't notice like other people. We just notice ourselves, and oftentimes we don't even notice ourselves because we don't really know what we want. So we just like live in the world where we do what we are, like, what we have to do, but not what we want to do, right?
Right.
And that's like not being self-aware. And this is actually in the times of AI, I think, right? Everything is going to be like automated super quickly, and I think easily at this point, right? Because AI is technically, actually, speaking of AI, I think I had a dream about AI this night. That's funny. I just remembered it.
Oh
I
my
had some
God.
like weird dream about
Obviously,
technology.
on a separate subject, there is this social AI thing that's blowing up, and it's where you have AI bots following you, so you can be an influencer in the app with a million bots or AI agents that follow you, and they comment on whatever you share.
Oh, nice. I didn't know about this. Have you tried
Oh
it?
no, no, I haven't, but I don't.
That was in my dream. I was like,
I find it quite scary as a thought that that's what you want to do.
Yes and no. I mean, we don't know what's going to come out of it. This is true, but I am more I feel like I'm more optimistic about technology in general because, when I posted this video on Instagram about me, about my experience with the driverless car in San Francisco, Waymo, more people actually wrote concerned comments on this video than like a wow, because my reaction when I
Yes,
was
wow.
taking the
No,
ride
no,
was
that
like,
that is
wow.
wow. Right.
And
That
I,
is
and I was by myself, by the way, like I wasn't with anyone else. And one of the most popular, like the number one question people asked me online was like, were you scared? I'm like, I don't think so. Like I wasn't scared at all. I was mesmerized. I don't know. I was like, wow, this is exciting. I was like a kid, in a candy store,
right.
just like excited about like the whole experience. So I think I'm more optimistic. I don't know if it's good or bad, but
No,
that's
but sorry to interrupt, but I think it goes back to one of the attributes, right? Perhaps of being your better self or being yourself,
yep,
right? Is that you're not only accepting, but you're open, right? You're open minded to
open to
different things,
experiences.
and you don't exercise judgment, right? And don't jump, with your assessments of, good or bad or whatnot, right? About people.
And I would say this is curiosity as well. Like this
Mhm.
is a skill for me personally that I think makes people the best, selves, right?
Right.
Because this is such an underrated skill, and especially when you become an adult, like you just stop being curious because you graduated, you have your diplomas, you know a lot, and you like I don't need to learn. So I feel that curiosity, this is like really drives me in other people. Like when I meet a person who is like super curious about the world, regardless how old they are, I want to be friends with this person. Like, and that's actually another thing that I think what helps people become better selves, right? Surrounding themselves with the right people. Like for me, for example, these people are curious. Like I always feel great around curious people. Also, these people feel super young, by the way. Like I said, regardless how old they are, when they're curious, like when they have that childhood curiosity about everything and little things and small things and big things, I feel like I don't feel their age, and hopefully they
Right.
don't feel my age. And another thing actually, that I think helps a lot in becoming your better self and your best self is discipline.
Mm.
People think that
That
you have
that's
to
really
be talented. People think that you have to be born with the silver spoon in like people think that you have to be at the right place at the right time. No, people just have to be disciplined. When I shared on Instagram that for the whole 30 days I worked out twice a day every day without skipping a day, you won't believe it. The majority of people's reaction was, it's not possible. Like, why? Like, what? Like, can you imagine? Like, people would not believe that it is possible. Like, we're not talking about like 2 hour long workouts, obviously.
right.
Like, we're talking about 45 minutes. A workout can be a 3 mile walk, a workout can be, I don't know, just aerobics or something like this. But, yeah, so like people don't even believe that other people can do it because they just like they can't practice this discipline, right? This is like impossible for people. So I think discipline goes a long way, and definitely for me this is number one skill that helps me stay in shape, that helps me build a business, that helps me eat healthy, that like helps me pretty much in everything. What about you?
Yeah. I think discipline is really a must, but I think discipline to me always sounds something you kind of forced to do, right? And I think I find that I'm really not good at being forced to do something. And so I agree it's discipline, but I think what I think about kind of my identity, right? If my identity is that I'm fit, then how can I not exercise at least maybe not twice, but once a day, right? If my identity is I show up for my coworkers and whatever is, part of this discipline that I want to develop, right?
Just
So I
don't want
just,
to use the word discipline, Vlada,
right,
because you've heard
exactly.
of
I
the
just,
childhood. What's the childhood trauma behind this?
right, yeah, I just don't want to, yeah. This is the Soviet school. Yeah, I don't like discipline. I like
Oh my God, the school hurts you. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but I completely agree with that. I think the other thing is, I think we live in a world where a lot of folks are saying, oh, especially in the US, I think the culture of happiness, right? You constantly need to be happy. And if you're not smiling, something is wrong with you immediately. And I
What's
think,
wrong with you, Vlada? You're not unhappy today.
right. And, they show sort of this, and again, it goes back to your cultural sort of power skills, right? Especially when you have multicultural environments and some folks are just not expressing their feelings differently or not expressing them at all based on their personality. Maybe they're more tech as opposed to more sort of sales oriented, right? More communication oriented, etc. And sort of based on how they grew up. And I think what actually now I think is part of my best self, a better self, is being again like accepting of whatever I feel, right? And I think that as someone who built, kind of a big career and then became CEO, right? I always felt the pressure that I need to be at the top, right? And I need to be this, as I joke, and chief energy officer as opposed to executive officer, right? And that's true, but you can have down moments and it's fine, right? And it doesn't mean, because for me back in the day, was creating kind of backward spiral, right? So if in those rare moments that I'm not smiling, it was uncomfortable, right? And I think just that, again, going back to this acceptance, it's fine, we're all human.
Totally agree with you, Vlada. Yeah, I just you don't have to be your best self all the time, like you said, right? And this is again goes back to what you earlier mentioned about self acceptance, right? And understanding your needs, and yeah, it's okay to. It's actually, like it's okay to be sad for a day or for
Mhm.
two or for
Mhm.
three. It's regardless how self like how much self development you've done in your life. You might be even coached. Like, for example, I worked with a therapist, and I'm like, so what about you? Like, have you ever felt this way? And she was like, yeah, I was down for 3 days. I gave myself, like, the time to feel sad for 3 days because that situation, throw me off. And it's natural. Like, I'm a human being. Yes, I'm a therapist, I'm a coach, but like, this is totally normal. And I think that as human beings, and especially like you said, being founders, and like being achievers, like extra achievers, we have really high standards to like our personal performance, and to like being better all the time. But being better, you can't, like, this is impossible to be better, to be your best self every day. So there are days when you just can't be the best. You can be good, and good is good, all right.
Right. And,
And
and,
good is
and
good.
maybe it is best because you're showing you're human and you're relatable and you're vulnerable, right? Because if you're always just putting on a mask, then you're not really you're
Yeah,
AI.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it depends on the situation, of course. I mean, we're not saying that, like, for example, you have to bring your negative moods into the office or to your team. We're not talking about that. We are just talking about, whenever we're just still talking about self awareness. Whenever you feel that, okay, today I'm not feeling my best self. What is the reason for this? Because, like, you have to self kind of analyze yourself, because you don't want to bring this onto other people. That's
Right.
important, right? So you can just, like, with your close one, you can say, hey, I'm feeling a little bit sad today. This is not you. This is me. Just, like, give me some time to work with this. At work, you probably don't even need to show this, because that's what self-awareness is. Like, you're self-aware of your emotions, and now you know how to go about it.
Right.
And
But you
that's
don't
emotional.
overreact, or you don't, right, because of that awareness.
Exactly. So that's all emotional intelligence. And this is like one of the number one power skills that everyone has to practice for work and life, right? And that then, like, we're all going to be happily working and living with each other.
Right. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, of course, um, back to my reflection over the summer, it is about passion, about finding what you really love doing. And I know a lot of folks who, may be doing a job, whether it's 9 to 5 or, as entrepreneurs, and they're in some field or line of work that they're really not enjoying. Um, And um, that's really unfortunate because, we spend so much of our lives actually working. And if we don't enjoy what we do at work, it means we are not really living, and that shortens our lifespan.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But
But I think it's back to this kind of, in some cases you can change your reaction to things or your attitude to things, but in many cases you are. Maybe you don't love the product you're selling, but you love the team, right? And sort of you can take joy in that. Or maybe, you can start, I don't know, playing tennis with your coworkers after work, and that sort of brings you closer together, right? So whatever those things are that really help you feel that contentment, it's on you.
I think, as far as the work goes, I mean, just to getting back to what you just said, I think people should have some short-term goals based on the work they do, right? And like you said, maybe this time at this stage, it's important for you to work on your team skills, because like you really love your team, and like that's what brings you joy in this thing, but like not necessarily the idea behind like the project, right? Or vice versa, you're really driven by the project you're working on, but like you're not super happy with like the team or like the setup in the company, but like you're ready to sacrifice it because your goal right now is to develop your skills that are relevant to building the project. So definitely, but then again, like you really have to be your best self. Let me just kind of like wrap it this way: to be your best self, you have to know what you want. And I was surprised, like, I mean, I'm always surprised that, and like, okay, so not so that it's not me being surprised, it's just like it's even hard to imagine how many people don't know what they want, but they might like just like live 40, 50 years, and then they realize, okay, this is actually what I want. I have a few friends in my close circle that, like, they've been in corporate world, I mean, had a corporate career for like 20 years, and they're like, I actually want to be a writer and like write a movie scripts and like, things like that. So, and this is amazing. And now they are writing movie scripts for Hollywood. And, but like, yeah. So, but also you might think you want this, but then you want something else. So it's totally fine to change the trajectory. It's totally fine to accept that and move in a different direction. And that's the hardest thing,
Yeah.
to know what you want and know what you want to change what you want.
Yeah, and I think related to that, I think not only women, but I think it's a very female trait that prevents us often from being our best self is beating ourselves up for some mistakes we've done, right? And I think it's critical to flip the narrative from owning from beating ourselves about mistakes to owning mistakes and moving on, right? Owning, learning a lesson, and scratching whatever happened, right? And I think that baggage, if you carry a lot of baggage on your shoulders, that's going to prevent you from being your best self, first and foremost, for yourself in your life.
Definitely. Just move on, guys. You made a mistake. Okay, that was
And
bad. Not
we're
clever.
moving on. We are moving on from
Moving on.
we are moving on. We are right at 1:30 Eastern here, Anna.
How
Um,
was this lunch, Vlada, for you? Did you have enough food for thought to chew
yes,
on?
I had enough food for thought. And the fun fact about this summer, if you see, right, we started chewing this, and you were always for thought provoking, and I was for practical. Now we are just back, and I don't know how it's gonna go in this season of life.
Oh wow! So we're gonna have like
We're flipping
two
it
thought
on its
provoking hosts. We'll see. We'll see. Well, maybe like this season, we should maybe invite some guests.
Yes.
So that we can be provocative with our questions and
Yes,
stuff, instead of just give what we
absolutely.
thought.
Absolutely. And I actually would love to talk more about folks in the organizations and folks just in general, how the company is going to change with all these crazy changes that are happening around us with new generations. There's just so much exciting happening. And I can't wait, Anna, to be back with you chatting about all of this every
Yeah, let's talk
Thursday at
about AI
1
next time. Let's talk about AI changing
the corporate.
the corporate, yeah, changing the picture of work, the employees, the engagement, the product building, like everything. Let's just talk about, let's frame the topic. But like, I think this is something that I'm actually attending one of the webinars next week as well, around this topic, like AI transforming different companies. So we can share our thoughts, and hopefully folks will join in and share their thoughts. I don't know. Sounds like it sounds fun.
Fantastic. Well, have a great day, guys. It was Chew on This, and we'll see you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll chew on some bite-sized ideas yet again.
Bring your lunchbox and tune in.